That is right, ladies and gentlemen. We're back again. Fresh off a week at the NFL draft last week. It is your boys here with Woo Fantasy.
Woo!
And that, as always, is the cordial sounds of Mr. Nick Heffley in the background. How are we feeling? We're getting our getting everything back in order, getting our toes.
How am I feeling? Ooh, yeah, I'm recovering from Nashville there. That's for sure.
Yeah, I guess we should mention that. What he does remember from Nashville and the NFL draft.
What I do remember was Thursday night. Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday night we remember very, very well. Friday night, round 2, round 3 was a complete and utter disaster in itself.
I remember the first half of the second round. That's about it. We so just quick recap. So Thursday night we get down there nice and early and are having a really good time for round 1. We're down what winds up being the kind of the front of the big crowd that you probably saw when you were watching on TV. Battled through the rain for the first 10 or so picks and hung out most of the first round down there. Great night, great to be a part of that crew. Friday night for rounds 2 and 3, we decided to go to a rooftop bar just down the road from where the draft was being held, and it was a blast. And then let's see, so the draft started at 6 local time, maybe about 7:30 about 7:30 or so. Granted, now I had not been eating the entire time because we were going to go to Texas Stablersville and go bro out and go shove a lot of meat down our throats that night. So I didn't
that
eat
also
anything.
By the fact that we did start the day early playing golf that morning as well.
We did play some golf, which was great. We had fun. So I didn't really eat a lot. Prefacing that because we're saving our stomachs for a big meal, and people just kept buying me shots because we were there for my bachelor party. Yeah, I don't remember a lot. I was passed out at Texas Stablersville. I was passed out on the way home. It was, although I didn't feel that bad the next day. Probably, I don't know why. I think I threw it all up. But it was, from what I remember, it was a really fun weekend.
Yeah, it was a great night. Plenty of pictures and videos were made.
Hey, what happens in Nashville stays in Nashville, Brandon.
Oh yeah, no, they're gonna come out. It's gonna be closer to the wedding time. We're gonna probably those videos and pictures are probably gonna surface at some point over the course of the next couple of months, just to remind Nick of the great time he had in Nashville on Friday night. Because
Can't wait.
He cannot remember that for sure. So.
Apparently the waitress was checking my pulse to make sure I was still alive.
The waitress did check his pulse. Did a photo op with the piece of cake for dessert that you could not eat.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
so that's good times.
I'm remembering little things,
little bits and pieces.
Oh wow,
back at you. That's great. Oh, but no, yeah, like you mentioned, we were down there for the draft Thursday and Friday. Thursday night, like you mentioned, we were down there in amongst it, on the ground, out in the rain for the better part of the hour. That the rain started almost as soon as the draft kicked off at 7 local time, and we were basically, what would you say, a block away from the stage, right there, center stage, staring at everything.
With what, 300,000 there for round 1?
Yeah, I think it was upwards of 300,000 people that were down there at ground level in Nashville, ready for that. And I mean, they made a spectacle of it. It was nuts.
We had 2 people leave to go to the bathroom and couldn't get back because they could not make their way through the crowd.
Yeah, no, exactly. Once you dissipated through that crowd, you were not coming back. There's no way you could filter back in unless you wanted to start a fight with someone. That's for sure.
I was more than ready to start a fight to get back. All you got to do is, hey, say excuse me, you go through. But yeah.
But no, it was a Yeah, I mean, it was a good time. I mean, overall impression of night one, I think there's more. You got a better feel of the atmosphere in night one by being down there amongst all the fans and everything. Because pick by pick that comes off the board, you can gauge the crowds, kind of feel the emotion of the picks that are coming off the board.
Oh boy, could you gauge the pick whenever Daniel Jones got picked?
Oh
wow.
my
all of us just
the shock amongst the crowd. When
wow.
the sixth pick was pulled off the board. Daniel Jones to the Giants, which you all know by now, of course, a week later. As soon as that pick was made, there was a Redskins fan next to me to the left that was, he's decked out in full Redskins just attire. He had a suit jacket on. It was nothing but Redskins stuff. I mean, it was head to toe. Guy was covered in Redskins. I immediately walked over to him, shook his hand, and congratulated him on the pick that would be made of Dwayne Haskins later on in that round. He told me that he did not believe that was going to happen. I told him, I assure you that pick is going to happen now. So, of course, we get a few picks later on down the road. The guy is completely stressing out. Does not want Dwayne Haskins. I'm telling him it's going to happen. The Giants fans that are around us are also ragging the guy as well because he's about to get Dwayne Haskins, which I, of course, immediately told the Giants fans, you drafted Daniel Jones at 6. You have no room to talk right now. So, pick was made of Dwayne Haskins. The guy immediately throws his hat into the crowd, cursing it like just out in wide open spaces. Just an angry.
We do have video of that, by the way.
Yeah,
we'll have to post it.
That was the greatest scene ever. He throws everything down. The guy just immediately storms off and he leaves. His draft night is over at that point, and he walks away. I would say the other kind of the funniest thing about, I guess, night one to me was when the Titans selection was made. They, of course, take Jeffrey Simmons, the defensive tackle, who will likely not play, if any, during the 2019 season. The pick was made. There was just a hush that came over the crowd of all the Titans fans that were there downtown. And everyone, it just felt like there was a max exodus at that point. There was so many people that left.
Yeah, but I think I
wouldn't say out of disgust, but I think it was just like Titans fans were like, "Oh, okay, we saw the pick. Well, let's go."
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what it was. I mean, I know it was one of those nights where, I mean, we had been down there for quite a long time, and I was fine. There's nothing I was really interested in the rest of the round one, at least to be down there live where we couldn't go watch on TV and go from there. But one of the things I thought was really cool, to me it felt like a fantasy football draft. But we had all of our guys were down there, in amongst everybody's wearing their jerseys, everybody's wearing their team gear, everybody's just happy to be an NFL fan. I mean, you had people that were down there that could give two craps about football, down there just for the fun. And I think that's what made the draft in Nashville a lot of fun, is you had Nashville turns up for events like this. A lot of us that have lived in Nashville at some point know CMA Fest when that's going on in Nashville. You stay the hell away from downtown. This is one of those things too. Like, we dared to not drive a car anywhere down there. Uber the entire time. I mean, the crowds were massive down there. So that was one of the things that was just really cool, just like with the Giants and the Redskins guy and some of the other, guys that you ran into, guys that you don't know from Adam and you'll never see again in the rest of your life. You had that commonality in talking football, and it was really cool just to be down there and be a part of and have that experience.
Yeah, that comes from many years of expertise of being around the Nashville area and knowing what to do as far as travel is concerned. Nashville usually turns up for big events, and this is probably one of the bigger events that they have held there locally. So we were very smart. And then
another big event that they have the Nashville Marathon go on Saturday morning when we're trying to leave, and we had to drive 20 minutes to get to less than a mile from the house to go eat.
Yeah, which me and a group of guys did walk that distance. It was like a 10-minute walk, but a 20-minute drive. So a few of us kind of made the smart choice to walk it over to the breakfast spot that we went to Saturday morning. We did mix in with some of the marathon people. There was a guy at a corner that was calling out numbers and giving words of advice and encouragement to these runners, and I mixed in with a guy, and I acted like I was running in the marathon without a number, and immediately just darted across the corner. So yeah, I of course felt like that was the best words of encouragement that I've had in a while. Was that short little run across the street that I just put forth? So yeah, that was
Congratulations.
That was pretty cool to see that big event going on that day as well. I mean, it was a big weekend for Nashville, but on to the business at hand. It was NFL
Well,
draft.
hold on now.
Whoa,
Hold
okay,
on.
whoa.
Hold on.
All right,
Now before we get into
to the actual fantasy talk.
The business at hand, let's go over some true business. On the last podcast that we did, we went over the Brandon Murchison mock draft.
Yes.
I know we invited some listeners. We had a couple people join into our NFL.com predict the pick, and I know you had some picks that changed from what we discussed last week, but
move some pieces around, a little bit.
Yeah, move some pieces around, which I think you wound up having a better draft than you would have. But do you remember who finished at the top, Brandon?
Well, the way that the conversation's going, I haven't checked it, but I'm sure that you finished on top of the leaderboard.
Quite true, Brandon. Quite true. No, yours truly finished at the top. We had a fellow bachelor party hangee Neil Lowry, who's in some of our leagues, finish a close second. He came on strong, but it's kind of interesting from a lot of the picks that were made. But yeah, I did win. It was really interesting. I think one of the more common picks that a lot of people picked in this thing was, of course, Josh Jacobs going 24 to Oakland. I think was a pretty universal pick that a lot of people got right. Daniel Jones was picked to the Giants, not at the right pick.
Not at the right pick.
But there's definitely a lot of.
I had Dwayne Haskins going to the right team, but not the right spot technically, because the way that the setup was, I had the Redskins trading up with the Lions to pick 8. I had the Redskins that they were going to take Dwayne Haskins at pick 8. So of course the way that predict the pick was with NFL.com. You can't switch the teams at all or anything like that. So
you're picking them to the spot.
I had him to the spot to where I thought a trade was going to occur and the team that was going to select him. So that probably would have changed a little bit as well had that actually come to fruition and they allowed me to show.
Not that much. I got like 9 right, Brandon.
Oh, okay. I mean. Of course, I didn't even check it. We were so busy doing all the other stuff, I didn't even look to see.
You didn't check it, aka you sucked that bad.
We ain't gonna go that far.
You might have finished dead last. If you weren't last, you were second to last. It was pretty bad.
Pretty sure that's not the case.
Pretty sure. Let's see. Picks that I got right. Just FYI, I did get Kyler Murray 1. Did get Nick Bosa at 2. I wound up going Josh Allen at 3, Quentin Williams at 4, which got both of those wrong. But in terms of NFL.com, at least with Quentin Williams, I was right there. If you were 1 pick off, you got points, as well. Did have I know you had him ranked quite a bit lower. I had Devin White correctly going to Tampa at 5. I actually had Hawkinson going to the Jags, which you went 1 pick later, so I got that one right as well. Let's see. Christian Wilkins, I think I just threw out there to the Dolphins. I thought he would go around that general area and just happened to luck out and get him going to that right spot there. Did get Dwayne Haskins going to Washington. Of course, Daniel Jones, which he should have gone there.
Yep.
But I think I didn't get a lot of the back half, spot on, but I was really close on a lot of those picks. I got some of the linemen going late in round 1 there, correctly to the right team. So I got lucky. I'll be honest. I got lucky on some things. Yeah. I did not finish great, but it was a strategy I had going for the last couple of years. I've done decent, but yeah, this one had actually turned out really well.
Yeah, I mean, the overwhelming vast majority of everyone was pretty well shocked at how the first round kind of came to pass. A lot of the players that were expected to be picked were not selected. You had a lot of value dropping down the board, sliding into round 2. I mean, the cornerbacks, that was the biggest shocker for me because I had 3 to 4 cornerbacks. I believe 3 to 4 cornerbacks going in round 1, and I don't believe we had
Greedy. I don't think we had. It. Rocky Sin went top half of round 2.
Yeah.
Greedy went middle of round 2. I mean, I know for me it was one of those things to where, I think in my mock draft, I think Greedy was the only guy that I had going in round 1, and I think it was right in the middle of toward the latter parts around or the 20s is where I had Greedy going. I don't know why, and it's weird because I was like, I shouldn't be picking a quarterback this late in round 1, but I mean, I just thought I just don't see it from some of these guys.
Yeah. I mean, if you go by the team needs and stuff like that, a lot of my articles and research kind of goes based on team needs. Some of these teams really needed some of that cornerback help, but it's kind of like what we said in the last podcast last week, and things that I've kind of put down on rotoballer.com was that there's so much depth in some of these other positions that you're going to have a lot of this value slide down the board because teams know that they can get a decent player later on in the draft. So
absolutely,
I mean,
I think wide receiver was
a
great example.
Exactly like that, for sure. That was exactly the case. DK Metcalf didn't go to round 2. Everyone was expecting that guy to come off the board, mid round 1. So, first receiver that was off the board was Marquise Brown to the Ravens, which that was one of my correctly predicted picks. So,
did you?
Yeah. So I did have Marquise Brown there. That's for sure. That's Hollywood to the Ravens, which we'll discuss here in a minute. But it was a very tough first round to get accuracy wise because there's just so much unexpected movement by players. It's just it was a fun experience being down there, but it was sure as hell a hair pulling event trying to predict how some of these picks were going to come off the board. But anyways, jumping.
The guy that wound up winning the NFL.com thing was probably, I think he had 13 or 14 right. He had a lot of picks that were 1 or 2 off or something. It's one of those things you just got up. I mean, you're going to have, I think they had 100,000, predicted pick things going on. So yeah, even the guy that picked, the guy that had the number 1 overall one only picked, less than half of round 1 right. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, tough one. But anyways, moving on. Going to start to discuss the business that we're here for. That is the NFL draft. We've kind of really glossed over to a degree a little bit of round 1. There's no need in really kind of discussing it, talking about Kyler Murray, number 1 overall to the Cardinals. We've really kind of hammered that point home over the last couple of podcasts, so you kind of do know what our thoughts are as far as Kyler Murray moving on.
Yeah.
I mean,
real quick, though, on Kyler Murray, I was really impressed with how Arizona has surrounded him with weapons now.
I agree with that.
He may be I think at first he was a guy that, with the wide receivers in the offense they have, maybe he's a number 2. I mean, he's got, especially in Dynasty potential, he's got, with those receivers that they got him, I'm looking at him in a little different light now.
Yeah, they traded, they got Andy Isabella in the draft. I mean, you've got Christian Kirk. You got Hakeem Butler that they picked up as well. Like we said, Christian Kirk, he's there as well now. Larry Fitzgerald and probably his final season with the Cardinals as well. So, I mean, they've got a very solid wide receiver core to work with a new quarterback coming into play as well. And so, things are looking up for Kyler Murray, which we knew they would be after this draft was over. We figured they would probably do a very good job of surrounding him with pieces and kind of helping him to succeed a little bit. So, but then they do make the trade, which we figured was coming, and Josh Rosen sent to the Dolphins, which was kind of the team that kind of came in under the radar at the last minute. I wasn't expecting that trade to go to the Dolphins. We kept talking like it was going to be the Giants or the Redskins. Dolphins are the team that pulled the trigger on that. So, real quick, how do you feel projecting out going forward Josh Rosen as a Dolphin?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the weapons he has down in Miami are not that exciting. I mean, Kyler Murray's just coming in the league, and I mean, his weapons are, you would like to think he's going to have some really good pieces there to be able to help him along the way. Whereas, I mean, what do you have in Miami? Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills. I guess you got Kenyon Drake at running back. I mean, these are good pieces, maybe not great pieces. So,
yeah, you got speedster Jakeem Grant. He showed a little bit in flashes last year as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got a different quarterback there.
Yeah.
You got Fitzmagic, who granted
I was going to say he's
can
probably
make some
going to
wide
start
receiver
the
magic. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think we'll see. Fitzpatrick does this everywhere he goes. Everywhere he comes in, he wins some games. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's great. Fitzmagic he's going to be a good quarterback. We're going to let him start the rest of the year." And then all of a sudden, he starts to suck, and he starts to come back down to the quarterback that he really is, and then they look somewhere else. So just like last year in Tampa, he set the world on fire for the first month.
Yep.
And I was definitely one of those guys for sure that, he's one of those guys where I'm not going to break the bank and fab money on him. But, you may throw out a couple bucks. I threw out $3 on him in one league. Of course, I didn't get him. But he's one of those guys that, hey, if you're on a hot streak, let's go with it. But Josh Rosen, as far as his ability, it's up in the air. I mean, Dynasty League, you're not going to be drafting him. I would hope you're not in the league, that you're in a Dynasty League to where you're going to be drafting because if you are, you're in the wrong kind of Dynasty League. Redraft leagues, he should go undrafted. There's no way that I think unless it gets to be week, let's say 9 or 10, that and if Fitzpatrick coming out there and he is not doing well, I think that's when you'll see Rosen.
Yeah, I mean, as far as his dynasty value, I'll disagree. I think if he's available in your dynasty league, you're going to draft Josh Rosen this year.
I mean, if he's available, great, but he shouldn't be available. And if you gave up on him already,
I was going to say he was drafted last year.
5 quarterbacks last year.
Yeah. So, more likely he's not going to be available in your dynasty league, and if he is, then that's somebody that's probably not playing the dynasty game the right way. So, but if he is available, I mean, I'd take him over Daniel Jones. As far as quarterback ranks, yeah, I would for sure take him over Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Because I know what I've seen in Daniel Jones, and I've seen bits and pieces of Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen, who had a better college tape than Daniel Jones, and who's actually, even though it wasn't great, he's performed at the NFL level to a degree so far. Yeah, I'm going to take a more proven commodity over a guy that I'm pretty sure is I don't have any faith that's going to show anything at the NFL level. Who's to know? Right now, you can't say when Daniel Jones is actually going to step onto the field for the Giants. Will this be Eli Manning's last year, or will this idiotic front office extend him for another couple of years? I mean, Gettleman even said after the selection that, yeah, they felt like Eli Manning, Daniel Jones could be the type of quarterback that could sit for 1 to 3 years and learn behind Eli Manning. I mean, that's just an idiotic statement. That's just you can't say that after you just took a guy at 6th in the first round. That
at 6,
you pretty much you've boxed yourself into a corner. You're going to have to get that guy on the field quickly, or you're going to be lynched by your fan base, which he's probably on the verge of getting lynched by that fan base anyways. But
he let me tell you though, it's somebody I read this online earlier in the week, and it rang true so easy. Gettleman is the kind of guy that he's drafting like it's 1987 still. He's taking a quarterback early, no matter what.
Yeah.
He took Saquon Barkley, which I love the Saquon Barkley pick, but in the end, it would have probably worked out a lot better had they taken Sam Darnold or somebody else there. Got a good running back in round 2, or get a good running back this year in round 2. I mean, I like Saquon Barkley. He is going to be a good pick. Fantasy wise, I love the move, but you got a guy that he's drafting out there like it's the 80s.
Yep.
Horrible. If I'm a Giants fan, I am not happy.
Yeah, I mean they're basically showing the offense that they're going to employ this year, and with the New York Giants, it's going to be Saquon Barkley left, Saquon Barkley right. Short, hopefully conversion for third down. If not, then punt. That's their offense. This is very, very fun. It's very easily fundamental football. I mean, it's not creative by any stretch of the imagination that we've grown accustomed to seeing over the last few years in the NFL. It's going to be almost like to a degree, a carbon copy of what the Dallas Cowboys do on offense. I mean, run, hopefully a easy throw for third down conversion, chew clock, let the defense win you the ball game, go to the house. That's what they're hoping for with the Giants. But anyways,
Good luck in that
I
division.
mean, so our three quarterbacks that our three quarterbacks in the first round we've kind of discussed. Uh, I mean, how do you feel with Haskins going to the Redskins? What's your dynasty outlook with Haskins as a Redskin quarterback? Likely, probably playing early on from week one on this year.
You think he's going to play that early?
I do. I think. I mean, honestly, he's got Case Keenum, Colt McCoy to beat out in training camp.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to what Rosen's going to have in Miami. They're gonna try to give it to the veteran. Out. However, I think that Haskins is going to be given the reins a little earlier. I think with the defense the Redskins have, they at least think that they can go out there. But I think it's one of those things that like some of these teams realized last year that they want the young athletic guy to come out early. Um, I don't know. I really don't. I really don't know what I think about Haskins. Man, yeah, it's one of those things with Haskins that he's just so hard to predict. On one hand, I think he could come out and is like an RG3 in that he might have a decent start. But I just don't know what I see his pro potential being. I really don't. What do you think?
Like I said, I like the comparison. I brought it up last week on the podcast as well. The Dwayne Haskins can be a kind of like a Byron Leftwich in the NFL. He's never going to give you cool. Yeah, he's never going to become a QB1 in fantasy. But there's going to be weeks where if you're in a super flex two quarterback league that he's going to be valuable for you in those type of formats. Rookie ranking wise, right now I've got him at overall at 19, so kind of a late round two pick in rookie
That
drafts.
should be about right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean that's where I've got him slotted in currently right now. That'll be up on Rotoballer at some point later on this weekend and early part of next week. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what he's going to be. He's going to be a guy that you're going to be playing matchups with. A really good pick as far as a best ball type guy. There'll be weeks where he might drop 3 touchdowns on an opponent. That's going to be an easy matchup for him. That'll be the week that you would want to have him in a best ball lineup guy. Where you're going to get the best option out of your quarterback that week. It's going to be hard to cement him and really hone in on when you want to start him. If you're in a situation where you wait super late on quarterback and you're trying to decide in given weeks between like the Phillip Rivers of the world, the Matt Staffords of the world, where you've got Dwayne Haskins as well, so you're going to try to play the matchup. It's going to be a nightmare trying to figure out what matchup is going to be best to play a Dwayne Haskins. So
Yeah, I mean,
solid QB2 moving forward. I don't think he's ever really going to rise above that when it comes to fantasy.
yeah, I'm agreeing. Yeah, especially year one, I think he's one of those guys that he could be one of those guys that I think is going to be a late two. I mean, his upside is definitely higher than some of those guys like an Andy Dalton. At the end there. I mean, he's one of those guys that holds some intrigue, but I definitely don't want to count on him to be able to do anything.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about him. I probably he won't really ever be the type that I would imagine myself drafting and holding in a redraft league. He's probably going to only ever be a piece that I would have in a dynasty format. That's kind of how I feel about a Dwayne Haskins right now at the moment. So, oh boy. But yeah, I mean the three quarterbacks, not exciting stuff. That's for sure. Yeah, which we knew that going in. But outside of that, I mean, going back into round one stuff, you touched on it earlier, Josh Jacobs. He's He was drafted.
Worst kept secret in round 1.
Worst kept secret in round 1. The only two player other to really, I mean, you had 4 other players technically that's going to have some fantasy appeal drafted in round 1. You got Marquise Brown to the Ravens, N'Keal Harry to the Patriots at the end of round 1, which was a shocker to me. Noah Fant to the Broncos, T.J. Hawkinson, which was also brought up as well, to the Detroit Lions. So, touch on those real quick. Josh Jacobs, my number 1, as it stands right now, number 1 overall pick in rookie formats, dynasty pick drafts. Where do you stand with Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy that I had number 1 even before the Isaiah Crowell injury from earlier this week.
Which, by the way, asterisk, put that in as well. Doug Martin re-signs with the Ravens yesterday too, not the Ravens but Raiders. So even still, I mean, we know Josh Jacobs is probably going to get the vast majority of the totes in this backfield.
Yeah, as he should. Yeah. I mean. This is an offense that should be moving forward. I mean, Dougie Fresh, not bad. He was serviceable here, but Josh Jacobs should be a guy that comes in. If you're taking anybody else, pick one in a dynasty format, something's wrong, or there's going to be some major thing that's going to happen between now and your dynasty league draft. But he has got to be picked number 1 in this redraft league. I mean, he's probably a guy that's starting to sneak into. I would say if a draft's getting held today, maybe a 3rd round kind of a guy.
Easily 3rd round right now.
I mean, he doesn't sneak into round 1 consideration.
No.
I think just because the offense he's playing in, but like Saquon Barkley, like Zeke Elliott, I don't think he's that dynamic of a runner, but he's a guy that just because of target share and who's going to be in there with him, he's easily in round 3, I think, right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna see somebody pull the trigger and reach on him early, probably tail end round 2. I would not be shocked to see that, just because of how rookie running backs have performed over recent memory.
Sure.
But like we keep kind of touching on it, we've not seen him withstand a full workload at any level yet. I mean, he was split time at Alabama. He was kind of a gadget guy they would bring in certain packages, certain situations. He performed well whenever he got the ball, but then he also battled injuries as well. So, I mean, Josh Jacobs is probably going to be a guy that, for me, it's going to be a prove-it year. I want to really see what he can handle. Do I think he's going to be up to par and perform well enough to hold the number 1 mantle in rookie drafts? Sure. Just because, we keep talking about opportunity-wise, he's going to get a lot of touches. He's going to see a lot of volume in that backfield. So that in itself is going to give him advantages over some of these other players that we're going to discuss a little bit. But yeah, Josh Jacobs, like what you said, worst kept secret round 1. Everyone knew he was going to go to the Raiders at one of those picks at the tail end of the round.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice landing spot, I think. Yeah, he's a guy that I'm going to be iffy on in redraft, but definitely worth it in the rookie picks. Yeah, I mean, you're only going to get a shot at him if you've got the number 1 or number 2 overall in your dynasty league. So if you're not at the upper half of the round, don't get your hopes up. So, but what we mentioned with some of the other players, Marquise Brown, N'Keal Harry. Who are you giving the nod to between those 2 receivers in round 1?
Out of those 2, it's got to be N'Keal Harry. Marquise Brown maybe could have been one of the worst landing spots for him possible. That people might have been at least somewhat excited about his potential in year 1. Lamar Jackson didn't exactly light the world on fire in terms of passing and throwing the ball deep. Maybe that changes with a different skill set guy. I mean, granted, Marquise Brown is one of those guys that he's instantly an upgrade over the other Brown they had in Baltimore last year, John Brown. But no, N'Keal Harry could not have landed in a better spot out of any of these wide receivers, sans Mecole Hardman in Kansas City, should the Tyreek Hill stuff come down and he not be there anymore. N'Keal Harry easily, I'm going to say probably a top 4 draft pick in terms of dynasty rankings. He's probably, what do you think, B? Maybe very one of the last, maybe number two's early part, number three picks. Does he go that high?
I mean, well, when it comes to Dynasty, the rookie drafts, I've got Harry right now slotted as the number 2 overall player on my board. But if you're gonna discuss any kind of redraft with Harry, I think there's gonna be varying opinions on his value. Getting closer to drafts, myself right now, do I think he's currently the best receiver on that depth chart for the New England Patriots? Yes, I do think he is. But also, I saw a version of Tom Brady last year that was on the come down very hard. He was under 4,000 yards passing last year, which was the first time we have seen that in probably a decade from Tom Brady. I keep mentioning, whether it be in articles or anything on Twitter, stuff like that, I feel like this Patriots offense is turning a corner this year, and it's going to be strictly running with Sony Michel in this backfield, and also Damian Harris that they added via the draft as well, which was another head-scratching move. They're going to try to run the ball a lot this year. I think they're going to use Tom Brady more instead of a guy that's going to put him on his shoulders and try to win ball games, throw for 400 yards a week, plenty of points on the board. You're going to see more of a ball control type of team with New England this year, which means you're not going to see a lot of that volume out of a guy like a N'Keal Harry, when you're going to see plenty of opportunities going to Julian Edelman. There's other players.
Julian Edelman's still going to be the guy here. There's no
obviously.
question. He's still going to be a guy that's going to get 5, 6, 7 yards. But outside of that, who do they have? They don't have a lot. I'm not sold on Philip Dorsett. I'm not sold on Philip Dorsett.
Me more than anything, just because of how Bill Belichick is, I think Philip Dorsett's probably going to be more of a headache than he is an actual player. So there's going to be weeks where you, as an N'Keal Harry owner, are going to be like, okay, this is a great matchup. N'Keal Harry should give me 5 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown. It's simple math. On paper, it looks great. Philip Dorsett's going to be the guy that's going to get you those numbers that week because you put N'Keal Harry in the lineup. That's exactly how it's going to go in 2019. I guarantee that with Philip Dorsett.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel there. But when go back to the other players as well, Marquise Brown, I'm not a big fan of. I wasn't really a big fan of him coming into the draft process. I think he's little bit too small. Already showing injury question marks. He's still fighting that Liz Frank injury right now. They say he's going to be ready for training camp.
Liz Frank.
But he's going to, the Ravens. He's going to a team that's going to run the ball 65% of the time. He's going to be counted on as a guy that's going to run down the field and hopefully break the defense open for a long play. Other than that, he's not going to be a PPR asset for you. He's not going to rack up catches. He's not going to rack up touchdowns. You're looking at a guy that's probably going to get 5 scores on the year. Catches.
Very disappointing.
Catch-wise, he's probably going to get you around 50, somewhere in that ballpark. He's not, for me, he's not going to be on my redraft radar. Right now, I've actually got he's not. He's just simply not for me. Standard scoring, sure, but he's going to be a bench player for me. But there's other guys
I'll put it like this. Yeah, and he's one of those guys, too. Now, granted, I do not like his ability. However, these are the kind of guys, though, that you take as your number 6, number 7, number 8 receivers, depending on how deep your redraft league is. Just because you're more likely to hit a home run on a guy like a Marquise Brown than you are to get a number 3 or number 4 receiver on another team. I would much rather do that than get I would much rather, great example, I'd much rather have Marquise Brown than I would Philip Dorsett.
Well, obviously so. I'll give you that one. But we're also comparing apples to oranges, and I think both of those two players, I would be happy with drafting late in best ball formats more than I would redraft or anything like that. That's,
Oh, best ball.
I mean, that's
But I don't even want to get into best ball format. Come on.
except the coming fad. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
you have to at least
And
give the devil its due. I mean,
yeah, not at all. It's a bunch of idiots who want their bench players to be in their starting lineups. That's ridiculous.
well, I mean, it's basically it's. I mean, we've talked about this before, but I mean, it's a format that people enjoy playing. That you throw in, $5-10 for a draft, and you're the type of person that puts in 30 to 40 leagues a year, and you don't have the time to put in lineups. A, don't do that many leagues, but B, I can understand this. It's sometimes there's some weeks where it's hard to manage 8 to 10 leagues when it comes to waiver wire, starting lineups, things like that. It's hard enough to do that, but
Yeah, but
I
still,
understand the appeal.
you're still, man. My opinion on freaking best ball leagues, you're still gonna if you don't still manage your team, if you just think you're gonna draft and set it and forget it, you're still nuts. There's guys that are going to come out there like a Philip Lindsay that you're going to want to add out there that you're not going to be able to sit and forget it. To me, a best ball format is like it's like a beginner's league. Put your training wheels on. This is what it's like to play fantasy football.
Well,
you get a guy.
All the risk out of it. That's the biggest.
Yeah, well, that's no fun. To me, that's just no fun. Come on, the fun in it is making that. The fun in it is making that right choice and right decision. Start this guy over this guy. That's the fun in it. It's no fun just to, I'm going to get a guy on my team. Like Deshaun Jackson's the perfect example of that. Deshaun Jackson shouldn't even be on a freaking team, but I'm going to get him on my team in the 1 week that he goes off because he's on my bench. I get his points.
Yeah,
I hate that.
I guess to a degree, like I'm okay with the format. Just it puts more of an onus as far as on your preparation for the draft. If you have a great draft, you should be in some small degree paid off for how well your draft was, not how easily you can work the waiver wire because you sit by a computer all day, or your record is so bad that you get the top waiver wire pick for that week when a guy gets injured and this running back is available. I mean, there's no skill involved in that. Let's be honest there.
Well, but I think that's why Fabs have to their just due has been what's taken over in most, because to your point, we've had a league for a long time that we wanted to put Fab in that we have not been able to because some people want to go old school format and add guys out there, but the thing freaking goes off at 3 or 4 in the morning, so it unjustly gives some other guys a benefit. Like me, who's one of the only guys that live on the East Coast, I'm going to get up before you get up. But we used to have to set an alarm back in the day. If we wanted to pick somebody up for 3 in the morning to be able to wake up and go pick up somebody and then go right back to bed. It was stupid.
Yeah, it's very stupid. But yeah, I mean that's like I said, that it's
anyway,
another format that's out
Sorry.
there. We digress.
Sorry.
We're getting off topic a little bit there. Sidebar. That tends to happen with things like this. But anyways, the two tight ends that went in round 1, Hawkinson to the Lions, Fant to the Broncos.
Yeah.
Coin flip. Yeah.
I don't think so. No. Not in year 1 anyway. Here's what
you're a big Hawkinson fan, and I'm probably more of a Fant guy myself.
Here's my take. Year 1, Hawkinson's going to be better because his quarterback plays with Stafford's going to be better. Now, I say that to say not that Stafford has ever really thrown the ball to the tight end, but year 1, Hawkinson in a redraft league, Hawkinson's value should be higher than Fant. I think long term, depending on who decides to take the reins in Denver, I mean, Drew Lock could be a guy that it could be Lock to Fant for a very long time there. I think Lock's in my top 3 as far as quarterback rankings from this, and I'm sure we'll get to Drew Lock and some of these other guys. But I think Fant long term has a much higher ceiling, and to me, even Herb Smith, who I'm sure we'll get into, has a higher ceiling than T.J. Hawkinson. But year 1, Hawkinson should be the highest ranked out of these guys.
Yeah, that's. I can sign on for that. I do worry about Stafford's ability to even look at a tight end. But that's the thing though with that offense this year. You're gonna have You got Kenny Galladay. I mean, Marvin Jones coming back from injury as well, so you got your two outside receivers. But then outside of that, they have really nothing to offer at the receiving
Exactly.
spot. So I mean, Hawkinson's going to be in a position to where he can kind of find a nice position, get some targets.
Should yeah, he should be a guy that comes out and gets 6 7 touchdowns here.
Yeah, he could be, but like I said, this long term, I do like Fant. I think Fant has the
I
better year one just because Flacco's dependency on the tight end. I mean, we saw that for years in Baltimore. He loves to throw to the tight end. So I think Fant's going to be a guy that I would probably take more in redraft leagues this year between the two. I would definitely take Noah Fant over Hawkinson this year. But dynasty wise, right now for me, yeah, it's kind of they're close right now. I do have Hawkinson as a first round pick in rookie formats. I've got Fant as an early second round pick in dynasty formats, so I've got them close to each other ranking wise right now.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and
one,
I would say too. I mean, for the guy in a dynasty league who hung on to Gronk for a long time. I mean, you're looking tight end in round one. I mean, there's not a lot of tight ends, I would imagine. I mean, you're not going to go and in these dynasty drafts, you're not going to go and get Jason Witten living like you were 15 years ago, going to get Witten out there. He's not going to be a guy that's going to have a ton of value. So if you're a guy that had Gronk and he retired, you're going after one of these guys round one, no question.
yeah, you'd be smart to. I mean, that's honest. That's you're losing a big piece of your team on a weekly basis, and you're going to have two solid pieces there to draft early on in a rookie draft that can be cornerstones of your team for many years to come. So, yeah, I agree with that for sure. But out of your round one guys, I mean that's all we've got right there. Those are the guys that were selected on Thursday night. I mean you heard it here first. Josh Jacobs easily the top pick in rookie formats. He's the 1-1 currently as things go right now. But then going into day two, we won't really in depth jump into player for player with round 2 and 3. Let's just kind of touch on a few guys here. What's the day 2 guy that stands out to you the most? That you're really going to probably be buying into, and what's a guy that you felt he was drafted too high and you're probably going to steer clear of?
Yeah, easily for me. Notwithstanding of being a Bears homer, David Montgomery landed in a perfect spot. He is, I think,
Great
he is
pick.
a great pick. He is. I know he is a Brandon Murchison favorite. He went to a situation where he can be a 3 down back with Chicago. Matt
Nah,
Nagy.
he probably won't be a
Well,
three
hold
down.
on. Matt Nagy has said he wants 3 down running backs, even though they might not be a true 3 down running back. But I think he could not have gone to a better spot. So he, for me, is the second pick of what would be my dynasty draft. He would be 1.2 for me in any format out there. Easily landed in a great spot. Mike Davis is not a starting running back in the NFL. So for me, yeah, Montgomery went to a great spot. Guy that went in round 2 or 3 that I think went way too high. Or
Well,
did
not,
you say
I was going
he
to say
went way
not
too
that he
high?
went way too high, or a guy that you're going to steer clear from as far as fantasy purposes.
There are yeah. I mean, I think the Damian Harris pick is disappointing where he went. The other guy that I am probably steering way clear of that was a round 2 or 3 guy. I am probably going to go AJ Brown to the Titans. I think for the Titans, I think it's a great pick, but dynasty purposes, unfortunately for AJ Brown, he's going to go to a situation where he's going to be fighting for about 20 balls over there. A lot of them are going to go to Delaney Walker at tight end. We're going to get some running back throws to Deion Lewis. There's not going to be a lot of catch for AJ Brown in Tennessee.
Yeah, that's. I mean
At least you're one.
I agree with that one for sure. I mean, target share is going to be hard to come by for AJ Brown in that offense. That's for darn sure.
What about you?
I mean, I would probably say the pick that I do like the most that has ability to be a big boom for fantasy owners is probably going to be Miles Sanders going to the Eagles. Yes, I do know they traded for Jordan Howard, but they also didn't give up a whole lot for Jordan Howard. So we get into training camp and you get on to the practices and everything. And if Miles Sanders is clearly your guy, Miles Sanders is going to be your starter for the Eagles. And Jordan Howard may be a cut candidate, might be a guy that's going to just not see the ball very often. So I think Miles Sanders is going to be a guy that's going to come in right away and be very productive, even year one.
Really?
Yeah, I do like him.
I mean, I like.
Perfect
We
situation.
talked about it last week. I like Miles Sanders. I just, man, there's a lot of mouths to feed in the Philadelphia
And I
backfield.
think he's going to stand out above the rest. Actually, I mean, he was I think number one running back recruited in college when he went to Penn State. He sat behind Saquon Barkley. Then when he finally got the time to shine, we all saw what he did last year. He put together a great year. He can run, he can catch, he can do anything in this offense that they're going to ask him to do. I think Miles Sanders, the way it constitutes right now, I think is more ready to be put in a position to be a 3-down back than David Montgomery is early on. So Miles Sanders, I've got him at 3 in my rookie ranks right now, just one spot ahead of David Montgomery. So,
Interesting.
yeah, I like the pick of Miles Sanders. I think that's going to pay dividends this year. I think he's going to be a low-end running back, too, even in redraft formats this year. He's going to definitely put together a strong rookie performance. I mean, if there's going to be a guy that's going to challenge Josh Jacobs as best rookie running back in year one, it's going to be Miles Sanders. So just based on landing spot and ability and expected targets, volumes, touches, whatever you want to call it, I think Miles Sanders is going to get a lot of looks this year in that offense. So another pick that I wasn't fond of. I would agree with you on the A.J. Brown one. I did not like that one at all. Just was not a big fan of the landing spot there. I just don't think that offense is going to line up well enough for what A.J. Brown can do at the pro level. Not enough catches are going to be available to him. But out of round 2, round 3 guys, probably lean DK Metcalf.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't liking him coming into the process. But now I'm not liking him at all going to Seattle. There's talk that Doug Baldwin's going to retire, so there's going to be a chance for DK Metcalf to start right away. But some things that we kind of mentioned after the selection, it's some of the guys that I was talking to after the pick was made, and some discussions that we kind of had after the draft as well was that, I mean, he's kind of Tyler Lockett, but a bigger version of Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett's a guy that runs down the field and kind of breaks open the defense. DK Metcalf, that's pretty much all he can do. So, I mean, what is the Seahawks are going to plan on doing on offense? Are they going to try to run the ball about 60% of the time and then just run 2 different go routes and hopefully one of those guys can catch it? It's not.
Yeah, but you got to think though too. When they get in the red zone, they're going to be throwing balls up top for him to go get.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be his only really intriguing position is the fact that he can. He's going to get you 42 catches on the year, and he might get you upwards of 7 scores, possibly.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you on DK Metcalf. I don't think, especially if the Doug Baldwin news is true, I don't think he could have found a better landing spot out there for. I mean, you got a guy in Russell Wilson that is, a top 5 to 7 quarterback in the NFL with, to me, no weapons.
Yeah.
Out there, DK Metcalf may not be a great receiver, as good as some of these other guys. I think A.J. Brown is a better receiver, but he did not go to the better landing spot at all.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I would make the argument that McCole Hardman probably had the better landing spot of any of these guys going to the Kansas City Chiefs, and with all the Tyreek Hill news that's kind of up in the air right now, we don't know what's expected to happen with Tyreek Hill moving forward, I mean, we're almost all kind of bracing ourselves for a suspension. And if that's the case, I mean, Hardman's a guy that's going to probably plug right in and not fully replace Tyreek Hill, but it could be a guy that can come in and do some damage early on. I mean, he's similar build, similar speed, probably doesn't have the hands that Tyreek Hill has, so he's not the player that Hill is, but I think I think he had a better landing spot of all three of those guys. So
yeah, true. And I think my thing with Mecole Hardman is I think a great landing spot. I don't think he's the receiver of some of the guys that went in front of him. I would rather, oh my God, if J.J. Arcega-Whiteside or Paris Campbell goes to Kansas City, I am all freaking over that.
Yeah,
all day long. Easily, probably
really excited to see Campbell in Kansas City. I agree with that. Ooh,
wow. What a move that would have freaking been. But I saw Mecole Hardman play at Georgia. He is a very talented guy. They did not take advantage of him. So maybe there's something I'm missing a little bit in there.
They didn't utilize the position at Georgia very well.
Correct. Yeah. But I think in all, he's not the kind of receiver that is gonna just be crazy out there. But the landing spot for him could not have been better.
Yeah, I mean that's a guy that I've kind of touted as well. Like I think he's based on injury news not injury news, but suspension news with Hill. I mean, say Hill misses significant time or most of the season. I mean, Hardman's going to be a guy that you're going to get late in a draft, right now especially, and could bring in some of that low end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3 numbers. If he's going to take up some of the lost volume and targets that Hill's given up, somebody's got to get it.
Somebody's got to get it.
Sammy Watkins ain't going to get it because he's going to hardly be on the field because he can't stay healthy. So
Sammy Watkins is horrible.
So that's the big deal with that one. But I mean, those a few of the picks from round 2. That's just kind of a couple pieces there. And we'll wrap it up. We're kind of coming up on the hour. Wrap it up with we'll do kind of one. Let's say one player, maybe 2, throughout the remainder of the draft that was taken that.
So round 4 and after.
Yeah, that you like landing spot wise. He could have been drafted, could have been undrafted. One player to kind of keep an eye on. Not that you think is going to have huge, massive success in fantasy in 2019, but it's got kind of a guy to keep your eye on moving forward in Dynasty.
Let's see, round 4 and later. Round 4 and later, I think you got to go with Akeem Butler. He was one of my favorite, another Iowa State guy. He's one of my favorite receivers coming in this class. And I wish he would have gone to another team outside of Arizona just because of the receivers that they already have in tow. But I think he's going to be a guy that I think he's the best of the crop that Arizona got in the draft. The other guy who, at least year 1, now maybe not for a long-term potential, but year 1, one guy that I'm looking out for this year is a round 5 guy, Raquel Armstead for Jacksonville. He's a guy that, if Leonard Fournette is back to not being what Leonard Fournette was from last year, they don't exactly have anybody in that backfield outside of Alfred Blue, who we know what he is. Raquel Armstead's the kind of guy who could really, really do something year 1, just literally because of the situation that he fell into.
Yeah, those nice little names there. One, I would probably say 2 to keep an eye on for me. I would for sure Bruce Anderson, the running back that went undrafted to Tampa Bay. I think he's kind of a name that kind of rose late in the process. Tampa Bay picks him up off the undrafted pool. I'm not a big believer in Ronald Jones. I know there's a lot of talk out there right now that the coaching staff likes what they see in the guy. But keep an eye on Bruce Anderson. I think he's going to be a guy. He might be a name that pays dividends late in the year, kind of like a Damian Williams did this last year for people out there in fantasy. Nice pickup later on in the year. Depending on how he does in training camp, he might shake out and be fairly productive early on. Then another guy, like you just mentioned Alfred Blue, the situation he left in Houston. They've got Karen Higdon that they picked up off the undrafted pool as well. I mean, they have Deontay Foreman that's going to be ready to go. Lamar Miller is expected, to probably have his last year as a Houston Texan this year. Higdon might be a guy that you want to pick up late in your dynasty and rookie drafts and kind of hold on to him and see how things pan out and shake out for next year. Not really any appeal, I don't think, in redraft this year as well. But a name I keep forgetting to kind of touch on, round 3 guy, Deontay Johnson, that went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Possibly a replacement for Antonio Brown. We've not really seen fully what James Washington can do, but Deontay Johnson's a guy that's going to be kind of very similar in make and size and ability to Antonio Brown. He could be a guy that kind of comes in and finds a little bit of shine later on in the year in 2019, but he's definitely going to be, for me, a nice sound pickup in these rookie formats and dynasty drafts. So, I've got him right now as an early 3rd round pick, so I would probably scoop him up, see how things shake out. Like I said, we've discussed it as well in previous podcasts, and I've put it out there on rotoballer.com as well. I mean, the Steelers know what they're doing when they're developing a secondary receiver. And if it's not James Washington, it's Deontay Johnson. So keep an eye out on that guy. I would probably pick him up and hold him if you're getting ready to do your rookie drafts. But there you have it. I mean, we're kind of recapped the NFL draft. A few names to kind of keep an eye on. Some of the dynasty tidbits, rookie draft tidbits. We've kind of got you covered a little bit there. Whether it be myself flying solo or we do get Nick back in through here, I know he's going to be getting ready to get wedding stuff,
getting
that stuff prepared over here in the next, the course of the next month and a half. So his timeline's going to be somewhat busy. So podcasting wise, we get some things out there, whether it be myself flying solo or if I can indulge him into getting in for a little bit here and there, or special guests that I bring on, whether they be fellow riders, fellow experts out there in the field. We're gonna get some other content out there and kind of probably starting some of the coverage for the 2019 season, getting you guys ready for that as well. Pre-training camp stuff, things like that. But that's where we're at right now. Finished there, putting the bow on the draft. How would you grade your experience in Nashville for the draft? Like we've talked before, you went to the one in Chicago just back a few years ago. Nashville obviously better than Chicago, I assume, correct?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, the weather, even though it rained for the first hour or so during round 1, freaking Chicago was ridiculously cold. Sans weather. Let's just even throw the atmosphere. The atmosphere in Nashville was amazing.
Yeah,
they should hold the draft. Well, they should hold the draft in Nashville like every 2 or 3 years. I mean, the atmosphere was amazing. I mean, it's one of those spots that Nashville absolutely came out as a spot a lot of people wanted to travel to. I thought Chicago comparatively was an A, but Chicago comparatively was a C. This thing was an A all the way. Yeah. The only thing that would have made it any better is if we got to get up a little closer.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the overwhelming concept for the draft this year with everybody was that, Nashville was just top notch, went way, above and beyond A+ for a draft locale. Hopefully they will decide to kind of come back fairly soon so we can all kind of jump in there and do this fun thing again. Of course, it's out in Vegas next year, so who knows? Maybe Vegas tries to top things off and go even more crazy with their draft experience next year. So, anyways, gonna wrap this one up. Nick, where can they find you on Twitter?
Find me at the Real FF Goat.
Real FF Goat there. The show's Twitter handle is, of course, at Woo_fantasy. I am at Roto Superstar. You can find my work on rotoballer.com as well. Be on the lookout for some of the post draft dynasty workings. A lot of the stuff getting you ready for, like I said, the 2019 season, pre-training camp things like that. We're gonna have that up. Gonna have my dynasty and rookie ranks up on the website here early next week, so be on the lookout for that. But for Mr. Nick Heffley there and myself, the Roto Superstar himself, Brandon Murkison, we will see you guys next time here on Woo Fantasy.